Hello, welcome back, and thank you as always for joining me. Today, let's have a conversation about your role here. Yeah, right? This is something that comes up for everybody. And when we step onto this thing called the spiritual path, whatever that looks like, actually, for you, whatever role A Course in Miracles may play in that, whether it's a small contribution or you're just checking it out, or whether it's your main practice, we all have questions about what we're supposed to be doing here, don't we? What am I supposed to be doing right now? Uh-huh. Yeah. Because we appear to find ourselves in chaos. That's putting it rather mildly, isn't it? We appear to be surrounded by utter turmoil. We're in the middle of a storm a lot of the time. And it's quite natural for us to say, okay, I've stepped out onto this thing called the spiritual path. I've listened to the guidance of our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, because you have, or you wouldn't be interested in spirituality at all, much less this course. So, because you've listened, it's natural to ask this question. But because now we're no longer seeing things the way we once did, and we're dedicated and committed to this journey. However many starts and stops you may have, you can't go back. Isn't that exciting? And why would you want to? Having formulated even a fraction of a second's worth of the thought that there's more to our experience than this organism and meeting its needs, yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. So, what do we do? Good question. What are, in fact, you called to do? A very, very important thing here as we study A Course in Miracles is that this course is not about effecting change in the world that appears to be outside us. I mean, that's what it looks like. We look out from these weird little things over here, where the image that meets it is actually upside down. That should tell you something. We don't see things the way they are. Hmm. No mistake there. Huh. So when we look out from these little devices, we appear to see stuff out there. And we think this is who we are, knowing deep down it's not, that there's more to it than that, as you well know. This is highly perishable. Huh. Yeah, it is. Yet we don't live our lives as though it is. We think this thing's gonna last forever. Ha ha ha. Not so much. It's not the Son of God, which you do know deep down. People have asked me why I continue to say that because we all deep down recognize who and what we are. It's about allowing ourselves to go there, which, as we think we're individual human beings, which we're not, Did you get that? We're not individuals. We're not human beings, despite all weird appearances. You know that. Allow yourself to go there. Even if all you feel able to manage today is a fraction of a second, that is enough of an opening for the Holy Spirit to enter and respond totally and completely to the slightest invitation. Always. So as we run amok here, we look out, apparently, from these upside down mirrors that we call the body's eyes, and everything looks to be outside us. So we go about and enter the spiritual path, thinking oftentimes that it's all about effecting change in the world out there. It's about rearranging the dream, in other words, is what we think when we start off. It's about rearranging what we appear to see, hence the proliferation of multiple traditions or very recent made up practices of manifestation, as it's called in popular spirituality, rearranging the dream to get a hot, sexy lover, or a new car, or a bigger bank account, or more cushy stuff, a better social media following, more likes on IG, yeah, stuff, social status, prestige. Mm. It's quite common for people to believe that that's what spirituality is all about. Well, it's not what this course is all about at all. See, what happens is people stop with that, thinking that, okay, this thing is all about rearranging what we appear to see in the world out there. No, it's not. Go beyond that. You'll notice A Course in Miracles does not talk about what people popularly refer to as manifestation, which makes it a lot less popular. If you've ever wondered why billions of people aren't interested in A Course in Miracles, this is why. The central teaching of A Course in Miracles is something that's so obvious when you think about it that it's terrifying to the ego. There is no world. Who's ready on this wobbling, spinning ball of rock to go there with that? There is no world! Exclamation point. Here's what that means. This is a dream. This is a dream. I mean, this is a pixelated image on your screen. There's nothing substantial about it. It's only assembled in the constellation in a form that we can recognize. A middle-aged dude from Arizona. So what? You can't possibly get more mundane and ordinary than that. What you see on your screen is nothing. It is insubstantial. What lands for you is the Holy Spirit, part of our mind, part of you, not separate, part of you. Allow yourself to go there with that, and the Holy Spirit will be real glad about that. Just waiting for your recognition. We're perfectly at home in God. That is what is meant by there is no world. This is, in fact, a dream. Why is enlightenment referred to as awakening? It's a very appropriate term. Very apt indeed. To the ego, this is mortally threatening. Expect resistance, expect a lot of it. And when you think you've set it aside, expect more. Why? Because we're all conditioned to believe that this world is reality. It is our concrete, wobbling, spinning ball of reality on which we enact our ridiculous psychodrama, and it's pretty dumb when you think about it, and really off base. In fact, we don't see things as they are, and this course is about seeing them as they really are. We see everything upside down, mirrors with an upside down image that comes to them upside down, and then they flip it over, or however that works. It's not real seeing anyway. Why? You're not a body. So what do we see with? The mind. Think of when you dream, and your eyes are closed, and the images that appear in the dream are really real, aren't they? You talk to people or beings or things. You experience things, taste, touch, feel, smell, and the sensations seem super real. In fact, you mistake them for your reality. Dream. What happens when you wake up from the dream? The images are gone. It is as though they were never there, and you recognize they were never there. It was a dream. It was a dream. Rinse, repeat. The ego will be mortally afraid and threatened and not want you to go there. It wants you to turn this video off. Some people already have. You're still here. Excellent. Keep going. And we keep going because we recognize this call. We recognize something deep down. Why would we entrust salvation? Why would we entrust our spiritual path, our experience, our lives to a guide that's completely insane, i.e., the ego? Why would we do that when there is an alternative, the Holy Spirit? There is an alternative to darkness and all of our drama. It's the Holy Spirit. Or call it Jesus or your guide or guides. Call it whatever you want to call it. By the way, makes no difference what you call it. A name is a collection of sounds. Reverend Tomas Garza, what's that? Nothing. It's a collection of sounds. In fact, entire languages are nothing but collections of sounds. They're symbolic. The word screen is not the thing it represents, is it? It's a collection of sounds that we've gotten together and assigned meaning to. In other words, we've given everything that we see all of the meaning it appears to have for us. Early workbook lessons? Yeah, that's exactly what Jesus is saying here. That is why nothing we see in this room means anything. Lesson one of the workbook. Nothing I see out this window means anything. Nothing I see on this street means anything. This cheek does not mean anything. This nose does not mean anything. This shirt does not mean anything. That painting does not mean anything. This screen of life does not mean anything. Yeah. We don't see with the body's eyes. We see with the mind. That's what we're seeing all the dream images with when we're dreaming. Right here. Don't expect, by the way, to have people leap up for joy upon hearing that everything that we've been conditioned to believe about the world and ourselves is completely untrue. Expect resistance. And you may be experiencing that right now. Our job is not to make other people see it the way we see it. And if you're a course student, your job is not to proselytize. thankfully. To win converts. No. Mm-mm. Our job is to forgive. That is our function. And within this broader context, the Holy Spirit will show you what your particular role is. Because there appear to be 8 billion of us, each of us has our own assigned role to play. What will that look like? Well, you're looking at part of what my assigned role is. And up to this point in the illusory continuum of linear time, which we made up, by the way, as you well know, deep down, in this continuum, you're looking at what has been part of my own personal directive. Yours may look very differently. Why? Because you live in a different country, perhaps. Or if you live in the United States, you live in a different part of it. You're surrounded by different people. You may have a different job, yeah, a different social network. There are people out there that will hear the message of the Holy Spirit better from you, through you, than they will through me. Of course, they may never see this pixelated image on your screen, but you're meant to work with them. So what will you do? Well, it doesn't mean that you have to start a YouTube channel and turn on a camera and microphone and broadcast to a global audience. That's my own personal directive, and well, you're looking at it. Yours could look very, very differently. So how do we know this? Well, ask. Doing this course involves our relationship with the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, the voice for God. Call it whatever you want to call it, by the way. Within A Course in Miracles itself, the Holy Spirit is known by dozens of different names. And the pronoun it, third person gender neutral, is completely appropriate because the Holy Spirit's not a dude. It's not a guy. It's not a lady. It's not a person. If we're not, how can it be? Exactly. What we do as we learn here, we learn to cultivate this relationship with our inner teacher, which is what I invite you to do, and learn to relax and trust our inner teacher's guidance. This is what we find to be so excruciatingly difficult. Why? We're conditioned to go it alone. No matter where you live, you may live in a society that's highly individualistic, like the United States. Gosh, I guess that's understatement of the century, isn't it? Or you may live in a society that's less individualistic. However, we're all conditioned to manipulate and control the world. We think that we have to run the show all by ourselves, and we discover, much to our chagrin, and it tires us out and overwhelms us, that, gosh, I'm exhausted. Most of the things that I attempt to orchestrate blow up in my face, if not right away, pretty soon after I start them. And I'm never content. Exactly. You have at your beck and call, I mean, literally, the power of heaven itself, the Holy Spirit, who knows in every situation, every last one without exception, what is best for every single living thing without exception throughout space and time. When you attempt to order and orchestrate your life, can you guarantee that when you judge everything by yourself, that you will do the absolute highest, best thing for every single living thing throughout space and time. When you honestly answer no, I cannot guarantee that in any way. What are you even talking about? Well, I'm talking about learning to relax and trust the calm and certain guidance of the Holy Spirit who will show you what to do. You will be guided. You may not hear audible sounds in a language that you can understand. You may get instead ideas. Or you may look at something that reminds you of who you are and what to do instantly. You may get what we would call a, a hunch or an inkling, an intuitive hit, where you just know. Trust the Holy Spirit and you just know what to do. You will be shown. And there are many different ways that the Holy Spirit shows us. The Holy Spirit always answers. The question that we have to ask ourselves is, are we ready to accept that answer? And when you answer yes, I am ready to accept my role, it's there for you, and you know it. You're much more intuitive than you have ever given yourself credit for. And perhaps you've given yourself a lot of credit for that. Maybe so. Keep going. Eventually, as we study and practice this material, the sheer magnitude of it becomes evident. And if nothing appears to be happening, well, we simply keep going. We learn to relax and trust the Holy Spirit's guidance. We're invited to trust the Holy Spirit as our guide, not the ego. The ego is insane. It's a mad idea of separation that's impossible because we're not separate from God, and God is the only reality. Period. How can we be separate from each other then? We can't. This is a veneer. It's a pixelated image on your screen. It's an image on the screen of life. It's an outward form. Use your outward form for extending love, for forgiveness, for showing your brother who he really is. As you see him, you see yourself. So would you see yourself as limited? Would you see yourself as frail and weak and worthless and nothing? Or would you see yourself as you really are? Limitless, loving, forgiving, radiant. And I don't mean physical beauty radiant. You're not a body, after all. Give this device over to the Holy Spirit for his purposes, for the purposes of healing the mind. And if you're concerned about influence in the world, understand, of course, that A Course in Miracles is not about getting more stuff. There is no world. Yet, while we appear to be here, think to yourself honestly, what's more likely to happen when you become genuinely more loving? Sure, some people may run and hide, that's on them. People will be drawn to you. It's not about getting more influence in the world. There is no world. Yet while we appear to be here, as you become more loving, what's more likely to happen? People will notice. Yeah. The point is not to remake the dream. The point is to awaken from the dream. So As we say here in the world, we keep our eye on the prize, and this course aims to help us do just that. All right. So, if you're brand new to this, welcome. The depth of it will become readily apparent to you in time. It's well worth understanding whether you continue with this material or not, that we can't go back, and why would we want to? All right, so questions and comments are most welcome here. I do check the comment thread with some frequency, and I do that because several videos appear here each week. So I'm in the YouTube channel looking at things. If you have a question, please do feel welcome to leave the question, and I would be happy to address it either in the typed out comments or in a standalone video or more than one. We frequently do that. Questions are always welcome. Spirituality is deep self inquiry after all, so why wouldn't you have questions? Of course you do. So, to the extent that you're willing to share them with a worldwide audience, you will benefit people on the other side of the world that you're highly unlikely ever to meet in person. We can use this technology to share the Holy Spirit with one another. That's what's going on right now. This pixelated image is sharing the Holy Spirit with you. So, a medium, i.e., the internet, that is quite clearly used to spread hate and misinformation and propaganda and disinformation and drivel and stuff, can be used to share the Holy Spirit too. To remind our brother of who and what and where he really is, and I know you know that. You know exactly what the answers to those questions are. So allow yourself to go there and ask the Holy Spirit for guidance. You'll be shown in whatever outward form that takes. All right. So thank you for tuning in. The subscription button's here in the corner of your screen. So if you have not subscribed and joined us, please go ahead and do that. That's the prompt over here. And I will see you again very soon. Thank you, as always, for joining me.